Peasant Productions presents the math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. Okay, now I've been discussing imaging and yeah, kind of more the negative side of stuff here, you know, the what's wrong with what your image is up here. Now, A to create A, B equals B, okay. If you envision a rotted piece of fruit in your hand, you're going to get a rotted piece of fruit. So the first thing you got to do is develop the awareness to hold the proper image in your head here. You are going to subconsciously project that out into the world, okay? Now, meditation, different things of this sort, have a lot of different things that they use imagery to use, okay? And you have to understand that the Western world uses this too very much. They deny the reality of it. They don't want to admit to it or whatever. It doesn't matter. But they use it, okay? I was still a young boy in high school when one of the sales things that I was studying about advertising in America, they talked about how, have you ever noticed walking into a room, and you can do this most anywhere, do it in a restaurant, do it in a library, do it in a theater, do it sitting in the mall, just sitting out there. Look across at somebody at the far side that has absolutely nothing to do with you. And just kind of look at them. You're not glaring at them, you're not projecting anything, you're not doing anything, you're just looking at them. Chances are very high that they will turn and look at you. Okay? There is always a connection between you and the rest of the universe. Now, sales, they were pushing that idea of how you go in and you're the magnetic salesman that sells everything. Okay, yeah. The salesman that can sell ice cubes to an Eskimo. The first thing you're doing is you're developing that awareness to see, to feel, to touch out there in the real world what's going on. Now, you do this already. You're a little tiny kid and you see that nice piece of candy in the candy store and boy, you want it. Now, you might do a Trump routine and fall on the floor and scream and shout and cry. Or you might, you know, try to figure some way of seeing it in your head and imagining having it and how good it tastes. And eventually you get a piece of candy somewhere, somehow, some way. You desire it enough that you are projecting the energy to make it happen. You might be like me when I was a little kid and freaking work your butt off and figure out some way to go earn that piece of candy. But you start with building an image. Now, meditation gurus do this really heavy, ooh, it's this or it's that, it has to be. Buddhism has a whole set of patterns that you must go through, a whole set of steps. Yeah, it's all very good. No, don't get me wrong. I understand it. I've done a lot of it. I have all kinds of books. I have all kinds of meditation practice stuff. It's all there. It is all tools to get you to someplace else in your life, okay? But if you don't do it exactly as they say, because for whatever reason you're a fruitcake like me, well, I shouldn't say fruitcake, that implies something else. If you're just, you know, a little different, you're that lone wolf, you do your own thing, okay? It's okay if you use something different. There's nothing wrong with it. And if you look at the Christ, the Buddha, the yogis of the ancient philosophies and stuff, before it got turned into heavy religion, before certain yogis got very much into personal wealth and personal power and came to America, and some of them actually taught reality of what was going on. Others realized that there was an awful lot of lost souls in America, and they simply jumped on the bandwagon and started holding their hand out to try and get stuff. Okay? Now, like I said, everybody likes to get paid. There's nothing evil about money. Money is an imaginary object. Human beings create money. There's lots of gold all over this planet. There's lots of diamonds all over this planet. There's lots of emeralds. Okay? But only a couple people go out and dig it up. Only a couple people refine it. In De Beers' case, they made a whole campaign in the 1800s about how only their South African diamonds were valuable. Okay? A whole campaign. Advertised around the world. What's the result? Well, if you go out and you Google diamonds right now, you'll find that there are diamonds being mined all over the world, and De Beers owns most of those diamond mines. Yeah. So they did it specifically for control. They are the same as Standard Oil and Firestone getting together and putting together a whole campaign about you can't have mass transit in Southern California because everybody loves their cars. So they bought up what was known as the electric red car system, which got you all over Los Angeles County in the 1920s and 1930s for very little money, was an electric rail system. And they literally tore all the tracks out of the ground so nobody could ever buy it back and use it. There is only a few feet of track left anywhere. I have been over into Echo Park, down in the Barrio section, and actually seen some of the red car track. I lived in San Pedro, where they still run a little piece of the red car as a tourist item. Okay? It runs up and down about a 10-minute ride. Take your kiddies on it. Ooh, look at this. 1920s. It's just down here. They don't admit to the fact. Why did Standard Oil and Firestone do it? Standard Oil wanted to sell more gasoline, and Firestone Tires wanted to sell more tires. So they developed a whole system of advertising that is now the entire megalopolis, interesting word, kind of like an octopus type of a thing. The megalopolis of freeway systems, which are generally very poor, very bad, badly managed, terribly insane to try and drive on, and a mess. And you have very poor air quality, you have lots and lots of pollution, and all kinds of stuff. But yeah. So that was the image that they wanted to project, and that is what they created. And if you go to Southern California, you will find that 99% of the people there believe that it is not possible to have a mass transit system in Southern California. Because for almost 100 years now, they have been told, you cannot have a mass transit system in California. The people are too independent. Yes, they could have had one. I was coming back from Disneyland on the freeway, and going there and coming back both ways, I realized, God, what an awful mess these freeway systems are. Why don't they do something better? I was, 7 years old. Coming back, I had seen the monorail, and I was looking at how you could so easily just put a monorail system down the centers of these freeways. You wouldn't have to shut down the freeways. People would still have their little quick ins and outs and independence. But if you really needed to get from one place to another, you really needed to be somewhere, you didn't want to own a car or anything like that, you would have all of this extremely nice, quick, fast electric monorail system. 1965. 2017, they still don't do anything. The closest they've come is they've started putting in underground subway systems. Most of those systems go through the hearts of cities and towns. You are in an earthquake zone where earthquakes to, magnitude below 1 to, about a 3-point magnitude earthquake are quite standard there. Okay? They happen all the time. It's just, you don't really even think about it when, whoop, that was another earthquake. Oh well. And yet these people are going to build tunnels which are literally the hardest to keep maintained and repaired in such an environment. The monorail system isn't. It's above ground. You can see it. You can see what's going on. You can quickly assess and deal with damage. You can quickly bend and twist and move things back into place. But you want to dig up 10 city blocks and all the buildings on top and inconvenience, 1,000, 2,000 people, 3,000, 4,000 people, depending on just exactly what part of the, the area it is. So it's an improper imaging. So you first build a good image. You get rid of that rotted apple and you start projecting. And every day, every time you do it, you don't punish yourself. You just simply work at a better image. You clean it up, you refine it. The same way you go out and you work on a car and every day you make it a little bit better and a little bit cleaner. That car is going to get you someplace else. So you clean things up. Don't hurt yourself over imaging. Just always remember to try and clean it up a little bit. Okay?